The first 30 minutes upon waking up is when your back is at its most vulnerable for injury. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. Not a lot of people do. And the reason why is interesting. In fact, it's the same reason why when you wake up you're taller than when you went to bed. It's your spinal discs. You see, when you're living life, you're usually standing, or at least vertically oriented, and so gravity is compressing your spine, which flushes out some of the fluid in your discs. The spinal disc is like a water balloon. Now, when you lay down, you're out of the vertical compression of gravity, so then the spinal discs swell. And studies have shown when you wake up in the morning and you start moving, the swelling of your discs puts anywhere from a 30 to 300% increase of stress on the disc, the ligament, and the tendons. That's a problem. And the reason why that's a problem is because of this. I once had a patient who had chronic back pain, and we were working on it. It was doing better, but then we hit a plateau. And I asked him, like, what are you doing in the morning? Because it seemed like in the morning his back pain would get triggered. And what he told me was that he'd get up, he'd do a bunch of stretches, and then he'd do an exercise called a Roman chair, basically where your hips are stable and you're doing all these extensions. And so I asked him, how soon are you getting into that regimen? And he said, immediately. Like, the moment he gets out of bed, he does it. And I said, well, stop doing that. And this is why I gave him that whole spiel I just gave you. And I said, wait for at least 30 minutes and then do it. And as soon as he stopped putting undue stress on his spine in those first 30 minutes, his back pain resolved completely. And it got to the best it had been for years. So, what's the rule of thumb for you? If you have back problems, number one is that just know the first 30 minutes of the day is when you're at your highest likelihood to injure your back and have a bad day, so be careful. Second is avoid your end range of motion. So what's your end range of motion? For example, that's you like bending all the way down to the floor till you can't go anymore. That's your end range. Don't do it. Don't reach back all the way. That's your end range. Don't do it. The end range of motion is when there's the most stress on your spine anyways. So if you have increased disc pressure and ligament tension, and then you're pushing your end range, that's what's going to trigger some significant back problems. Thank you for watching this. If you have any questions, just reach out to us.